Behind me is a construction site. But you see, it reminds me of when humans mess with nature. It often leads to unforeseen circumstances. As is the case in Kenya, the original aim may have been to improve standards of living. Right, Joy?
Yes, indeed. Kenya's longest river provides water and hydroelectric power for much of its population. But finding the right balance is tricky. Building a dam to produce electricity, for instance, can cause the water to dry up elsewhere. A regional project in eastern Kenya called Wise Up is trying to provide smart solutions to these kinds of problems.
The waters still sparkle here on the Tana, Kenya's longest river. It's 1,000 kilometres long and provides the basis of life for animals and humans alike. But some spots along the Tana have dried up, leaving just rocks and sand. The operator of a hydroelectric power plant has diverted several kilometres of the river to a nearby dam through an underground tunnel. Mariana Pius walks 2 hours every day to fetch drinking water for herself and her family of 10. She is outraged.
Water used to flow along here, but then the first dam was built and it was reduced to a trickle. And after the second dam was built, it disappeared altogether.
Lydia Olaka is here for the first time. The scientist works for the University of Nairobi's Wise Up project. The goal of the project is to diffuse the conflict between the different groups who use the water. Her data is meant to help find sensible ways of using the little water available.
Water is life. There are two issues of just the quantity of water, so either a lot or too little, and then the other thing is the quality issues, that we have either water that is of very poor quality and water that is of good quality.
And where there is no water, conflicts are escalating. In recent years, further down the river, fights over grazing land and water have even resulted in death. Some residents believe climate change is the main culprit. Others blame the dams. Nearly half of Kenya's electricity is produced here, making the dams crucial for the country's industrial development. To understand the river, Olaka travels to one of its tributaries. The interests of the locals here are different from what she's seen before. The people don't want to use the river for industrial purposes, but to preserve nature.
This one? This is the...
This is one of the best.
This is one of the best. Also gives no soil erosion because of the roots.
Over the past few years, they've been planting forests along the river. It's a long-term project supported by the government. Shade from the trees should help prevent evaporation of the river water.
5-10 years from now, this river had completely dried. Completely, there was no flow at all. But you can see the water is now flowing.
The locals share their knowledge and experience with the scientists. They're glad to talk about the project because the forestation benefits everyone along the river.
This is the dream. To have it clean, clear, like what we have seen here.
That's something Mariana Pius can only dream about. She doesn't benefit from the hydroelectric power plant. She doesn't have electricity. She doesn't care about that. She just wants clean water to get through the day.
The sandy beaches of northern Cyprus are a very important breeding ground for the endangered loggerhead sea turtle. The animals are hunted for their meat and fat, which is used in cosmetics. These animals have now been placed under international protection after their populations were all but wiped out. In Cyprus, tourists often unwittingly destroy the turtles' nests or block the hatchlings' path to the sea. Biologists Marula and Andreas Dimitropoulos have spent the last 35 years working to protect and preserve the sea turtle population on the beaches of Larabe.
Bizarre rock formations, smooth sand, and a beautiful view. A beach like many others in the world. But this beach on Lara Bay in Cyprus is different. Under the sand lies buried treasure. Marula and her husband Andreas have dedicated their lives to the treasure here. There's an art to finding it because the treasure they seek is turtle egg nests.
The sand above the nest is soft. If you dig on the sides, you'll find areas that are hard to that stick. But above the nest, we have to be careful, of course, otherwise you go through the eggs.
They carefully remove layer after layer of sand until they reach the eggs. Curious tourists who've wandered onto the beach watch the process. Marula and Andreas know exactly what they're doing. They've been working to preserve the sea turtle population of Cyprus for 35 years. Sometimes they manage to rescue a few hatchlings that didn't get out of the sand.
104, 5, 6, 7, 8. 108 babies, eggs hatched, and the babies went to the sea, including the 4 we have now in the bucket.
These 4 foundlings also head out to the open sea.
It was great. It was amazing. So small turtles to become so large. It was amazing.
It's illegal to camp on the beach, so the tourists are actually a threat to the turtle eggs.
People come in to visit the area, but at the same time they want to stay. They put umbrellas, they put camp beds. But the problem is that the fishing department has no staff to implement the law.
When Andreas, Marula, and their team find a turtle nest, a lid is placed above it for protection. Then the location's exact GPS coordinates are noted. They dig out another nest. The baby turtles have hatched, but haven't yet dug through the sand. We get to see something that most tourists never get to witness. Now they scurry seaward. It's a race against time and a struggle for survival. In 25 or 30 years, they'll return to this exact beach under the protection of night to lay the next generation of sea turtle eggs.